All right, I'm already back into it a day already. I haven't filmed anything because it was a pretty good struggle getting that headliner back up inside the car by myself. It's a little bit unwieldy. It's got to do like 5 things at once, and you run out of hands and feet after a while. So I've got the antennas back on the car. The wires are fed through to the inside, and this is what the headliner is looking like right here. It's got a few handprints there. I gotta clean that up a little bit. As you can see, I was struggling a little bit with it. I've got the cover for the back installed. Got the belt covers installed. Got the coat hooks, or shirt hooks, I should say, travel hooks in the back installed. The courtesy lights here, and I guess this is part of the sound system, these little tweeters up here. This is the front compartment for sunglasses, and your map lights, rear view mirrors in, the sun visors are in, so they're all set up here. Your G-Whiz handles, I'll keep it family friendly for when cars going a little faster than you think. So that's all back in. I put the package tray back in, and I also painted out these bars, textured them, and I was going to upholster them, but that looked like that was going to be too big of a challenge for me, so ended up just body working them and painting them out. So they're back in. Anyway, that's the scene from in here. Like I said, a couple fingerprints up there I gotta deal with, but anyway, on to the next thing, as they say. One other minor issue I did run into over here, reinstalling these back seat belts, which on my car, for some reason or other, the reels worked fine. I guess it's because I remounted them. I used the original Challenger mounts right there because I felt that was the strongest point right there. But the distance between that reel and the pickup point here, where it rotates down, is it's shorter, way shorter than it was in the Challenger. So what that means is that the reel is kind of out of tension by the time it's here. So when you pull the belt out, it doesn't want to really reel back. The reel doesn't have a lot of strength at this location, so be mindful of that if you're going to install rear belts, that when they retract, they might be a little floppy laying in the back seat. Might have to be hand tucked back down in there to look neat. I doubt that the rear seat in this car is going to get used that much, so hopefully we'll just get them set to where they look good and leave them alone. They'll be there for the odd occasion. Okay, you can see what this is looking like with the molding in, covering the rivets that hold the headliner up to the top of the car, and the A-posts are in for the last time. They don't need to come back out, the covers I mean, and I put this rubber molding, which will have to come out for the car to get painted. I've also added this, glued in this extra piece of debulbing here on the B-post to try and remediate the any wind noise. And anyways, that's what that's starting to look like. I got to get around to the other side and do that now. All right, back to a bit of fabrication. It's time to take these mirrors down a peg, and in order to do that, what I've had to do is, you see the way this is all put together here, there's a rubber seal here, and then there's some little nuts here that basically bolt it to the car. And so in order to get this apart, first thing I have to do is, we'll cut this tab, release the wires, take these nuts off of here, which I've already done, remove this piece, which goes on the bottom side here, and anything else that might be in there that's in the way. I pulled the studs out that actually, I'll be using 2 of these studs to screw it back to the car. And I'm going to take off this base. Now, I don't like the idea of taking the base off, because this base basically allows the mirrors to rotate if they're hit. There's a spring inside here, and then there's a collar down at the bottom here. Let's see, right there, that's pressed on, and that collar retains this base to that spring, so it's under tension so that it rotates, and there's a cam in there so that you can pop it back to position if somebody hits your mirrors. Problem is these are way too big. They look like elephant ears on these cars. So on my car and on Don's car, I've cut them down in the same fashion. Actually, my car was highly modified Dodge Charger mirrors, which is a whole other ball of wax, as they say. So anyway, in order to get that ring out of there, what I first had to do was drill a hole through the side here. And now I'm in the process of cutting that ring, because no way to, it's the way it's tight around the outside. There's no way to kind of pop that ring out of there because it's force fed in that direction to grip the plastic. I don't know if you can see that or not. So it, you know, pulling it back in this direction is almost impossible. I'm sure there's a tool to do it, but usually you just toss the mirror. The mirrors are cheap enough to just buy another set of mirrors if something goes wrong with it. I had to fix this on, believe it or not, a brand new set of mirrors that I put on the GTX build. You know, I was done the car, and I walked by the mirror, and that little ring there gave away. The whole mirror flew off the car, so I had to take the whole interior panel back off, take the mirror back off, and I had to try and locate that ring in a way that it would grab a virgin part of that little shaft down there. So I had to twist it in a particular way that it wouldn't grip in the same spot, because that was obviously worn. A brand new mirror. But anyway, got to get that cut out, and then it'll reduce me down to the minimum of this mirror from here down. And then this needs to be shaped in order to fit the top of the door, and that's what I'm up to. There's a better look at that ring. See, I cut through it and it popped right out, and you can see down in here the spring that puts that all under tension so that that can cam around. And you can see there's the stop on this side, where if you'd rotated it, it would only rotate so far. And this is what that shaft looks like, and you can see where this ring right here with these teeth is forced down over that top of that to hold the whole mess together. And it's just the friction of that on this plastic. It digs in. You can see it's actually cut the plastic to where it's you know, dug it up a little bit. So that works pretty effectively. But anyway, that removes the base, and it gets me down to the basic mirror here. And I'll have to shape this bottom here so that it fits the car, and then I'll have to put the studs back in. Anyway, that's what I'll be up to. All right, with the bases both removed from these mirrors, I started to take the driver's side, and basically through a series of back and forth and on and off the car, fitting it to the location it has to go. I'm slowly grinding off what I need to make that new exposed base nestle in the crook at top of that door. So, well, I've got that achieved on this mirror. Now that I do, it's going to save me some effort on this one here. Won't be flying blind. Basically what I've done here is I've put a couple layers of masking tape and cut them off so that I can just peel this off. Well, it'll be sticky side up. I'll lay it here and just tape the ends, and that'll give me a line that I can draw here, where I don't have to sit there and keep taking it on and off the car. I can just go ahead and draw that line. It'll give me a close approximation of what this one is, and that way when I go over to the other side, I'll still have some fluffing and buffing to do, as they say, but it'll be a whole lot closer to matching this one in both the shape and the attitude that sits on the car. All right, using the same technique, but this time with pattern paper. Taking a pattern of the top of the door to locate the hole and transfer it to the other side, so both mirrors are the same distance back on the edge of the door. Anyway, that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so my dad used to have a saying, what the straight and level have to do with anything if it looks crooked by eye. And he was right, especially with stuff that's round, that plays off curved surfaces. So best thing for me to do here with these two mirrors is tape them up, make sure that the attitude is equal on both sides and it looks correct from the front view, and you can see how much lower they are than what they would have been, but they still stick out pretty well. And thing of it is when you're building these mirrors, you tend to focus on how big they are, but when the car's painted, you don't even see them. So that's just one of those weird things that happens. But they definitely were a whole lot taller than that by about almost 2.5 inches. So anyway, now I got to start figuring out how I'm going to attach them. I attach the studs on the inside of these things so I can bolt them up to the doors. All right, so overnight I let this epoxy dry. This is the T21 Fusor. Stuff is crazy. Little freaking container, 2-part epoxies, something like $70, but stuff works really good for me on a lot of applications. But as with all glue and plastic, in order to make sure that it does, my little assembly does stick, I've drilled some holes in the side here to let it ooze out, so it creates like a keyway for this to stay. I don't have any problem with it sticking to metal because that's what it's designed for, and these studs are metal. I just want to make sure that this little plug of glue never has a chance to break free. So I've got holes drilled on both sides here, like I said, to make sure that the epoxy glues or oozes out. Creates a little keyway there. It's just a little bit of insurance, but it's on there pretty good. So now I've got to proceed to make a base plate that will fit underneath the door to reinforce the door, because it's just sheet metal there, even though it's 18 gauge. You know, if you hit the mirror, it can possibly, with enough force, it can possibly bend the sheet metal, and we don't want that. So I'm going to put a little reinforcement plate is what I usually do when I mount these mirrors on there to the bottom side of the inside of the door, and that gives it a little more strength in that position. The other thing I have to do is create a gasket for this, a rubber gasket to seal this to the door, and so when you tighten it down, it's not just going against the sheet metal, that any little imperfections that come from me shaping it by hand like this will be taken up by the rubber gasket. Anyway, that's what I'm going to be up to here next. Just thought I'd show you something I do when I'm trying to make up these patterns. Whenever I'm cutting circular holes, I've just taken regular tubing, thin walls preferable. This is 1-inch tubing, and I needed a 1-inch hole, so basically I just took a piece of hardwood here and I sharpened the edge of this tubing like that, and I just use it like a punch. Now I went ahead and I put this on the actual bottom of the mirror to try to locate the studs, and you can see these two little pieces. This is just a real thin, it's like a file folder, manila file folder. It's stiff enough, and yet it's flexible enough for something like this. So anyway, pressed it in. You could see the other two stud marks right here for the pattern. I got a piece of 3/8 tubing here, which I'm going to punch these holes out with, and that way I don't have to sit here with an X-Acto knife and make a perfect circle. Just thought I'd show you that. It's a quick and easy way to make homemade punches out of just regular different size tubings, and then it's easy to make a paper pattern. Okay, so here's the plate made out of 60 thousandths steel and shaped to fit this area right here and reinforce it. The 4 holes on the ends over here are going to be my rosette welds to hold this plate up over here. I have to now prime this with a weld through primer, and this will fit on the up on the inside here, and basically look something like that. And that's what I'm doing. Get this thing ready for to take these mirrors on. Anyway, thought I'd show you that before I put it in. Okay, so here's the EDPM gasket that I cut for the bottom of this, and that'll cushion the cushion and seal this to the door, keep it from vibrating. Anyway, it's one of the last things I have to do before I mount it up. Well, doing the army crawl across the finish line here, but the mirrors are mounted now, so that adds to the look of the car. I think it helps it out a ton. I was worried about the little shark fin on the roof. Blends right in, don't even notice it. It might even add a little bit to the overall look of this thing. Makes it look like a shark. Pretty aggressive, especially with that mouthpiece in the front there. At any rate, that's where we're at right now. We'll see what we can get into next. Alright, since this car is going to be painted by Chris Carlson Hot Rods out in Mulvane, Kansas, I'm not able to permanently put the glass in the rear or the windshield in, so that will allow him to properly paint the window beds before those are installed. So if I want to test drive this, I have to come up with something to fill both of these window holes, which is basically I'm going to build a Lexan window back here out of 3/16 Lexan. In the front I have a an old windshield, old beat up windshield that came out of actually came out of my car when I first drug it out of the field, so to speak, and set that aside to use that for all kinds of mock-up work. But I'll be using it to put in here temporarily till all the paint work's done, and then Chris is going to have his glass guy install all that stuff. In the meantime, like I said, I want to be able to you know, work out some of the bugs, see what rattles, what falls off, what rubs, all that good stuff. So it'll take a couple of trips out on the road a little bit, in which case I've got to, you know, prevent the wind from blowing everything out of the interior of the car. So I'm going to proceed to build a temporary back glass here and see how that goes. Okay, so here's the window cut out of polycarbonate now, and what I've done is I've divided it into thirds, and what I'm going to do is I have these supports that I'm going to have to shrink and stretch them to give this a little bit of shape to it, a little bit of curve, so it doesn't cave in. So anyway, this is just a 40 thousandths aluminum, and this basically will set something like this in this location right there, and there'll be another one on the other side. And anyway, that's as far as I can get this week. It's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. I'm heading up first thing in the morning to Carlisle, PA, to the Mopar show up there. And so if anybody's wanting to stop by and have a chat, tell me what I'm doing wrong, I'll be over by the wing cars starting on Friday, and then I'll be there also Saturday. It ought to be nice and toasty up there. Anyway, I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.